Dr. Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to associate myself with Senator Blumenthal's comments about blowing $30 million on a parade. Let's be clear, you're not doing it to celebrate the Army's birthday. You're doing it to stroke Donald Trump's ego. If you want to celebrate the Army's birthday by spending $30 million, I would recommend you think about something along the lines of maybe spending that money on childcare for military families, perhaps tuition reimbursement for military families. There are lots of ways to celebrate the Army's birthday without blowing it all on a parade. I also want to echo the concerns of my colleagues, Senator Reed, Shaheen, and Hirono, about misusing and burning the readiness of our National Guard troops and other expensive military assets like deportation flights for so-called interior law enforcement operations. The military should not do the job of DHS for it. I'm especially concerned by your answer to Senator Hirono, Mr. Secretary. I think you copped out with your answer of, we will do what's legal. That answer ignores your obligation to advise what is right for our war fighters and to focus on war fighting, not to say what is legal. Secretary Driscoll, General George, I appreciate much of your transformation efforts. I've long advocated for the Army to make hard, forward-looking decisions, and I especially support the push to modernize our munitions enterprise to produce and deliver munitions to warfighters at scale. That's why your proposed cuts to Rock Island are confusing and troubling to me. Rock Island Arsenal is a critical part of the Army's advanced manufacturing ecosystem. It is central to the future of battlefield sustainment and logistics. Yet under your current plan, two commands with very distinct missions, Army Sustainment Command and Joint Munitions Command, would be integrated. We've been told this consolidation will result in workforce reductions of approximately 100 personnel and the phasing out of a data center in Army Material Command. Beyond this, details are scarce. Secretary Driscoll, do you have more recent updates on the workforce impacts of these planned changes, including how many personnel will be affected and the timeline of implementation?
Senator, I just want to echo how important Rock Island is. I think we have a trip scheduled or hopefully soon to go up there. The workers up there have been remarkable and have helped our country and our Army for a long time. As it relates specifically to sustainment and the Joint Munitions Commands, when we were looking at it, basically the headquarters exist so close together, we thought we could have efficiencies without actually impacting the outputs. By combining, the intent is not to slow down production in any sort of way. And then specifically, Senator, to your question, no changes from what you referenced.
I know. How many personnel will be affected and what's the timeline of implementation?
I wanted to just kind of reinforce, we have, two headquarters that are kind of very almost co-located, and there's a lot of things that we can do within that, I think, to combine that. So what we still need and what we want to invest in is all the technical expertise that, we get at Rock Island and, probably the unmatched right now 3D printing capability, additive manufacturing that even commercial industry is coming in there and using it. So it's kind of, we're looking across the formation of how we can update our business systems, combine some of these capabilities, and I think it's going to make us better. And we're happy to come over and brief you that in detail or meet you at Rock Island, Senator, and have that discussion.
Okay, I'll be willing to meet you at Rock Island. Secretary Driscoll, still the same question. How many personnel will be affected and what's the timeline of implementation? You still haven't answered me.
Senator, we're currently working on the plan. It is I would actually hypothesize there would be growth at Rock Island on a net basis. But combining those units, they're working on the plans right now. We'll provide them the moment they're available.
Okay. I think what you're doing is scaling down. I hope that the answer is that we're going to work towards a minimum workload, at the very least, at Rock Island to maintain that capacity. I want to flag that I joined the Bipartisan Arsenal Workload Sustainment Act with Senators Durbin, Grassley, Ernst, and Representative Sorensen. This bill would incentivize private industry to partner with arsenals to ensure a more predictable workload throughout the year to enhance efficiency and keep costs low at all of our arsenals. I hope that you and General George will work with us to move and get this legislation passed.
We'd love to, Senator.
Thank you. I'm also deeply concerned by the Army's plan to divest from the Humvee and JLTV without a clear replacement that meets the full spectrum of mission requirements. We have been told that the infantry squad vehicle was identified as the future for ground mobility, but let's be honest, the current model of that vehicle does not support the needs of medical evacuation. And the Humvee fleet that you plan to retain, which could serve as ambulances in the meantime, is already facing severe maintenance issues. This ground capability for medical evacuation is not a gap that we can afford to ignore. What is the Army's plan to bridge this gap in ground medical evacuation capacity as the Humvee is phased out? Either one of you can take that.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Senator. We have, you brought up the armor protection, we have 18,000 plus JLTVs, continuing to buy those. So obviously medical evacuation and how we do that. Having done that, with all of our vehicles, it's why we're also talking about having armored vehicles that are inside our formations are going to be critical moving forward. So we need a broad bunch of capability. We're also looking at autonomous systems and how they can go into certain areas. We have 105,000 Humvees, and certainly that's part of we're going through that process right now, how we make sure that we're maximizing the vehicles we need. You mentioned medical vehicles. That would be in that category of how we would make sure that we're maintaining that capability that we need. So they're going to be in our formation. We've bought what we need to have inside our formation.
And